Hello again, it's me. So we're starting a new project, and we'll be working with a hard slab technique. So we'll be rolling out slabs just like we did with tiles, except we will let those set up for a little bit, and then we'll be cutting out walls to build our projects. I may have already shown the PowerPoint, and if not, I will soon. This project will be based on architecture. And which is kind of cool, you know, clay was originally used as a building material. So we're going to be building small little maquettes based off contemporary architecture, modular architecture, which I'll describe in the lecture. So I just want to show you the technique here. You already know how to roll out a slab. I'm going to go ahead and roll one out just as a review. We rolled them out for the tiles, but we'll go a little bit bigger this time with the slabs, because we'll be cutting out the walls for our forms. And then I have one I've already set up over here, and I'll build a cube for that, just to show you how to build a cube, sort of a basic form for buildings, for architecture. But they can be tweaked and be kind of weird too. Okay, so rolling out a bigger slab. I don't know how big a rolling pin you have. If you don't, just have to roll out smaller ones and roll out almost maybe a wall at a time. I don't know. So again, you get your slab kind of in the ballpark. Go to a dry part of your table. I have a bigger rolling pin this time. Roll it out one way and flip it one rotation. Put a dryer spot on the table and roll it out again. Voila. Now what I do is I take this, I don't want to get a bunch of fingerprints in it. So I'll get a board, and I want to grab it with my fingers. I don't want to get the fingers, they see the big fingerprints by grabbing like this. What I do is I kind of peel it off with my hands, and I get it on another board, and I take it outside, and I put it in the sunlight. Now, what happens in the sunlight, this will set up really fast, but what happens is this part on the outside dries faster than the inside, so what this thing will start doing is smiling at you. So what you have to do is every 15 minutes or so, go outside, and then with your hands like this, flip it over, pat it down. Another 15 minutes. It may, in this hot weather, it'll just take 2, maybe 3 times after flipping it. So like a half an hour maybe. Might take a little longer, maybe a little shorter. You have to kind of babysit it. It'll come out leather or cheese hard, so that it'll be like this. It's flexible. It's still flexible, but it's pretty firm. It's just a lot more firm, but it still has a little flexibility. So this one's ready to go out in the sun, which I'll do later. And this one's ready to work on. So that's how you make your slabs and how you prepare them. Once they are ready, and you can't work on them right away, you'll only be working on one slab at a time anyway. So keep all the rest of your slabs covered up really well in plastic. You want to freeze the drying. You don't want them to continue drying out. So once you're ready to work on them, you take out one slab at a time, and let's make something. By the way, there are 2 configurations, and so I'm going to go over the board so you can just follow me. There's 2 ways of putting together, from an aerial view, to put together a box. One is like here's a box looking at the top. Here's another box. There's actually 3 ways of doing it, so I'll do 3. One is like a card house, where you stagger it. So one goes the long way, and then have another one that goes the long way. And this one goes the long way, and this one goes so it's staggered. This one goes all the way to the end. Doesn't go all the way to the end. Here, this other one goes all the way to the end. Okay. On this one, you can have 2 that go like this all the way to the end, and then 2 that go on the inside. Now these 2 on the inside, unless you want a rectangle, are shorter. If they're all the same size, it'll come out more looking like that. Wait a moment, it's going to be more like 1 second. Yeah, it'll look more like that, it'll look kind of like a rectangle if they're all the same size. Anyway, okay, and then another one is you can bevel cut. So again, this is looking from down on top of your box. So you put it together like that. And I'll show you all those. Now I'll go back to the table now, see. So here's, if you don't know what I mean by card houses, we did this in Minnesota growing up because there's nothing else to do in the winter. Little blocks and card houses. So you see how it's staggered? That's how you build a card house. So long, short, like that. That's kind of how I build mine. I thought I had it. Huh. I'll get that bigger. Alrighty. Straight edge with right-hand corners. The little block of wood works great. And what I'll do is I'll cut out a side and I'll let that be a template for my other sides. I want a fettling knife. You need a fettling knife. It should have come in your tools. Make sure that the surface you're cutting on can handle some cuts. Don't do it on your nice dining room table, please. Or work on a board. So anyway, it's really important to be on top of your cut. It's really easy for this to float at odd angles. So I'll just do a few things here. Make sure it's really lined up on that side, because I want a nice right angle cut. And you'll see now, because this is set up, that my corners are going to be really quite tight. So that's a really nice tight corner rather than being flexible. It keeps its shape. That's why we let these things set up. And also you don't get your fingerprints in it. And maybe I'll go just part way to make it smaller. There we go, I'll go like that. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. Again, I'm doing more than one cut to get through it. Maybe I'll go all the way to the end here so I have some more to work with. Make sure it's lined up really well. There we go. Now, and I might even do this. I'll wait until I have. So I'll go ahead and line this up. Again, I'm lining it up really well so I have these right corners. I might want to roll out about 5 of these, or 4 or 5, rather large ones, because it takes 6 sides to make an enclosed cube, correct? So I have one side. Why not let this be a template for the rest of my sides? That way, they're all pretty much the same. So I can just go like this and mark it. I'm not going to cut it, because the clay is not a strong enough straight edge, but it's good enough to make a mark. So I won't be able to get another side out of that. So I'll need to go here to get another. So I'll use this as a template and get one more side out of this. So from here on out, I'm kind of using all my slabs as templates for myself. Just mark it. I want to leave clay for the top and bottom too. This is a little bit large, but I'll figure it out later. It might not be actually. Yeah, it's just a little bit large. Not too bad. Make sure you go straight up and down. I'm sure I brought a shirt form out here, but I can't see it. Sorry. Nope. All right, anyway, let me finish this up. So I'm going to start out getting my 4 sides together first. Whoops, that was a really bad cut. So again, I can do the 4 sides like the card house. So I stagger like this, which I probably will. And I don't know if I can hold it up without falling apart, but so it looks like that. Or I can do 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside, but again, because these are all the same size, it's going to create a rectangle, which is fine. Maybe you want a rectangle. Yeah. And again, if I wanted to do the other side with the, I'll just cut one at 45 degrees so you can see that. So now I'm going to go, instead of cutting like straight up and down, I'm going to cut it at 45 degrees, just sort of guesstimate. And I'll show you how that works. So if you want to, it's called a mitered corner. So now I put these two together, and it creates a corner like that. Now if it doesn't go like totally right angle, because that's not quite a right angle, I can just, I'm going to score and slip these really heavily. So what I'll do is I'll just score the living daylights out of this thing. I'll go really deep, because then the clay will start becoming flexible again. It's almost like cutting that edge down. And do the same to the other side. You got to score and slip like your life depended on this project. You can't get away from it. You got to do that. These aren't just sides. I'm just showing. These aren't like legitimate sides, obviously. I'm just showing you a joint. You can see I'm going really deep. Put quite a bit of water on it so it becomes like glue. Now before it was kind of like that, not quite a right angle, but now it's flexible. And I can kind of push it together. And it looks ugly, as all these things look ugly. All your joints look ugly until you work on them. And here's how you work on them. And I'll do it on this other one so you can see it more clearly. You can use this. If you have a rib, if your wood rib has a nice corner here, that's even better because it's a right angle. You get right in there. This is kind of rounded, which I don't like so well. So I'll just use this thing. What I do is I draw on the joint. Let me do it from that angle. I draw on it. You draw on it, and it compresses that joint. So drawing on it compresses the joint. On the outside, I can press on it by going with this tool. I could also use this tool. So all that ugliness, just by working on it, starts going away. You can see that's getting to be a really tight corner now. So it's just a matter of working on it. And as this hardens up, I can still go back and work on it. And in a second, I'll get you a shirt form out from the office there. I have one out, and I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, so let me put this guy together real quick. I'm going to go here, go crosshatch. I'm going pretty deep. Crosshatch. I'll get some water on it. If I had a little brush, I could just get water in the brush and put on there. It makes it a lot. This is kind of big. But anyway, and then I'm going to go on the end of this guy. I will be right back. Just hold that thought and get a surf one. Okay, so shirt forms are like cheese graters. They come usually with a thing like this. You can get them at a hardware store. They also have replacement blades. I usually just use a replacement blade. And I can actually go on here and just really get it tight. It leaves a little of some marks, but boy, does it look great. So I use these guys a lot. In the studio, we have a number of them. You may want to buy one. They're not too expensive if you want. You don't have to. But anyway, also, if I did a crappy cut, let's say my cut was not that straight, I could go in here and straighten it out. But don't worry about that right now. You can also correct it again by scoring and slipping very deeply. So here I'm scoring. Cross-hatching. Again, I'll just dip this one. Again, I'm sort of making a paste. I'm making a glue out of the clay itself. Put this on. Line it up. Push them together. Draw on the seam on the outside, on the inside. I can show you that. Draw on that seam. So it compresses the joint. And then out here, oh, shoot. It stuck to the table, so I'm going to do that again. just gently. And the outside, I'm going to do that scraping until the joint goes away. You won't see the seam anymore. You're pretty clear on there? And again, you'll be scraping off stuff and it makes the corner kind of go funky. Keep working on it. As it dries off, it will start setting up nicely, okay? So that's how you make a nice joint. For the interest of time, I'm not going to score and slip the other things because I just want to show you how to construct a box. But believe me, if I was making these, and I've made a bunch of these, I have a PowerPoint of all of that, of a show I did of 80 of these things. I would score and slip these like crazy. So I'm going to just go and put them together with water. Just get the clay a little bit slimy. By the way, saliva works really great because it has an acid in it that works great. But anyway, so I'm going to put this on there and pretend I scored and slipped like crazy, okay? And then this one. Score and slip, score and slip, score and slip, score and slip. A lot, a lot, a lot. Okay. So now I have a cube. I can go ahead and draw on here. By the way, I could have, since this is sticking out, I could have made this wall a lot longer and have so it came out like that. So I have all this area I could build off of this. So you don't have to stay contained to a cube. I'm just showing how to make a cube because it's good to know. So anyway, now this cube, it's stronger now that I have all four walls together, but it's still not all that strong. So I use this now as a template to make a bottom. And I'll just draw this in, just make a mark, and in case this thing isn't really truly square, what I'll do is I'll make a mark on the bottom tile and on the wall so I know that those two sides go together, in case I'm off. Or in case I'm making a funky shape. Maybe I'm not making maybe I'm making a twisted rectangle, or like a Disney concert hall, which I'll show you in the slides, where it torques. So anyway, but this is the way you make your form, your walls, and then you can use it as a template for your base, whatever shape it is. And I can make this stick out. Maybe I'll make this one stick out too. Oh, I forgot. Oh well, doesn't matter. Now I've got that mark on the side. I've got this mark over here. So I know that these two go together. Score and slip both top, the wall, bottom of the walls and this top thing. And I've got a bottom. Do the same thing for the top. Okay? I could stagger it. I mean, that looks kind of contemporary to have something going like that. Right? And start building things kind of off it. You know, I even save all my scraps because they can start doing some pretty cool stuff. So, and I almost think of this, rather than planning it out, I look at a lot of pictures, but then I sort of just go for it like it's jazz. And just start getting really complicated, open forms and closed forms, and this could act like a screen over here. And again, scraps can start doing interesting things. You can have skylights in there that look really cool. Just make it really contemporary and happening. And again, I'll show my PowerPoint of the show I had. Or actually, it's a movie. So anyway, one last thing I want to show you is like if you want to do a triangle, that's a little more challenging because you don't do right-angled things. So I'll just do one side of one. Let's see how do I like a pyramid or something. So what you do is you cut your things. Well, something going like that. I could go like this. Let's go like this. I always have to fly by the seat of my pants when I do a triangle. So now it's sort of like almost like a right angle, but I can really get this thing, I can use this to really shape this down. And make the angle much more severe. So it's not a pyramid. Pyramid has four sides, I believe. You can make a three-sided pyramid. So I'm really getting a lot more severe here. So now those things fit much closer. And then I would fit one onto this side. I'll probably have to shave these guys off, depending on what kind of triangle you want. And then I got a triangle that fits on here. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. So I'm being very fast. I want this to be, take your time and go be very anal with it. Again, save your scraps. All the pieces you're not working on, make sure you keep them covered in plastic, wherever my plastic went. Keep it covered up. And that's how you build like this. It actually builds quite quickly, which is why we will spend one session less than we do on the other big projects. But you can really go to town. You can think of it building one object that's very complex, or many objects that kind of interlock and almost like a little city or a compound that fit together. I'll show you a lot of prompts. You can go to Pinterest and look at architectural models. You can go to architectural models, Google that, and look at images. You'll get tons of ideas. And go ahead and rip them off. What I like doing is I'll look at a picture and spend a minute looking at it, just sort of get the feel of it, and then don't look at it anymore, and then try to remember what I saw and try to do it myself, and I end up with something different. And that's kind of fun. I think that is it. Okay, thanks.